Welcome to the City of Plymouth City Council regular meeting for Thursday, August 28th, 2025, 6:30 p.m. Can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Bottomley.
Here.
Councilmember Dill.
Here.
Councilmember Hornish.
Here.
Vice Mayor Nunn.
Here.
Mayor Cranford.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Can we do the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Everyone stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a couple of amendments to the agenda before we call for approval. We're going to remove item 7.1. We had a clerical situation happen and we did not have the right information posted, so we wanted to make sure we do that correctly. We're going to move it to the next meeting, I believe, or actually, no, we're going to have a special meeting. Yes.
We're going to try and put together a special meeting for next week to have that item considered.
Yeah, on Tuesday, I think, possibly.
Yes.
And then we also are going to be pulling agenda item 7.4 this evening. And with those amendments in place, can I get a motion to approve with the amendments?
I make a motion to approve the city council regular meeting agenda of August 28th, 2025 as amended.
Councilmember Bottomley.
Oh, did we get a second?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll second it.
For our new council members, you have to have the mic right next to your mouth.
Sorry. Ready. Councilmember Bottomley.
Yes.
Councilmember Dill.
Yes.
Councilmember Hornish.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nunn.
Aye.
Mayor Cranford.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, we're going to move to number 3, regular meeting public comment. We do have one person who has submitted a form. Of course, we'll open it up to the floor after that. Did anybody write in? No written public comment. We do ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes, just for respect for time. And that's it. So our first person that we have that wrote in, oh, we have another one here, is Frank Marino. If you want to come up. Sure. Stephanie, can I ask a question really quick before you start?
Sure.
You're just gonna do the non-agenda item right now and then come back for each other agenda item?
Well, I have a question. Since you've taken 7.1 off the agenda, do I talk about it now? Or are you going to allow me an opportunity to talk then?
You can just talk about it now, I think, just for efficiency.
We'll stuff the.
Okay.
Stephanie Moreno, Plymouth resident and small business owner. I'm presenting this petition to the city council. It was put on change.org. As of yesterday, we had 233 signatures in support of this petition. It's regarding the firehouse and my brother Antonio Marino, who's in the audience tonight. I want to read it to you really quickly. If you can indulge me if it goes over a little, please, Mayor. Honor the promise, install the sign for the Antonio Marino Firehouse now. 5 years ago, on July 23rd, 2020, the Plymouth City Council voted unanimously to rename the city's firehouse in honor of Antonio Marino, a beloved public servant whose lifetime of volunteer service, leadership, and dedication helped shape the safety and spirit of our town. Antonio devoted decades of his life to Plymouth's fire department and community, always putting the well-being of others first. The council's decision to name the firehouse after him was more than symbolic. It was a public promise to honor a man whose quiet heroism deserves permanent recognition. But to this day, that promise remains unfulfilled. The firehouse still doesn't have a sign that reflects its correct name. This is the day of the petition. Today marks the 5th anniversary of the council's unanimous vote. Local residents are wondering why the city's own decision has gone unrecognized for half a decade. We call on the current Plymouth City Council to act now without further delay to install the official signage designating the building as the Antonio Marino Firehouse. This is not just about one person. It's about keeping our word as a community and ensuring that public service, selflessness, and civic commitment are honored in action, not just in resolution. Please sign this petition and help ensure the city follows through on its commitment. Share widely and encourage others to join us in calling for what's right. With gratitude, Stephanie Moreno, sister of Antonio Marino. And we have all the names on here, so everybody can see those. This copy's for Antonio. I'd also like to say, it could have been that there was a misunderstanding, but the change.org solicited donations to help promote it. And we didn't, that's not something we turn on or off. Some people did that, about $252 worth of money. And I think they intended it to be donated to the sign, most of them. So I make a commitment to use my own funds to help offset the cost of the sign and the amount of the money that was collected for the petition. So those people, if there was a misunderstanding, that it's corrected. So I'm asking you to, it doesn't need new action by you. You just need to tell staff to take care of it. So
Thank you.
and then I have a second item,
Okay.
7.1.
Yep.
I'd like to remind the city attorney that compensation of executive officers cannot be discussed in a special session of the city council. Has to be held in a regular meeting of the city council. So if you don't do it today, you're going to have to wait until next, unless you adjourn today to, is that what your plan is?
Adjourned regular meeting.
Okay. If you're going to do that, if you please post an agenda, because last time you adjourned a meeting, you didn't post an agenda for that meeting, and it was very confusing to people because you just left the old date on the agenda. So people didn't know that the new date was there. I'd also like to say that until such time as you take action, I think interim city manager Cameron should be recusing himself from any decisions regarding the sheriff's agreement, as he has a potential conflict of interest because of his business. Thank you.
Okay, I think we already have a sheriff's agreement, right? Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
There are no decisions about the sheriff's agreement before.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be any reason we would be seeing that item that I'm aware of.
Are you saying that you're not going to make him recuse himself if something comes up?
If something came up, I'm sure we would take care of it. Yes.
Thank you.
We would have our attorney instruct us on what to do with that. Yes.
Thank you.
What was that? Okay. Okay, so Frank and then Stephanie, I'll save your thing for each agenda item here.
Frank Moreno. I am Antonio Moreno's older brother. I resided here in Plymouth for many years. I live out in Shenandoah Valley now. I still have a lot of family and historical connections with the city here. So I'm speaking basically on the renaming of the fire station. 5 years ago, the city council voted unanimously to rename or dedicate the Plymouth Fire Station in recognition of the public service and the dedication of Antonio Marino. I had heard that this was not going to happen, as council doesn't believe the dedication should occur until someone is deceased. To the contrary, a few examples of places and buildings, even some here locally, named and dedicated to individuals still alive, exist here. Harold Colburn Park down here was dedicated to my grandfather, and he was still alive at the time. Janet White Fur and Feathers building at the fairgrounds was just dedicated to her. Chuck Simmons Family Beef Pavilion at the fairgrounds was dedicated. And as well, I am very knowledgeable that at Folsom Fire Department, they just recently named Station 34 for Bill Murdoch, who is still alive as well. So I would like to see this go forward. Antonio is a very humble person, and he would never be here asking for himself. This is something that you guys promised, or your predecessors promised, and I would love to see it go forward. If it is a monetary thing, please let us know. I'm sure we can get more contributions to help provide that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Spinetta, Hawksview, hell did not just freeze over. Stephanie Moreno is 100% correct on this, and I agree with her. I think it's beautiful what you said, and the post July 23rd, 2020 online, where Tennessee did a little drawing for Antonio and put it up right there at the firehouse. And that's kind of what everyone was thinking at the time. And when we had the sign made, it was a generic thing. I think put it on there, make it look pretty, and make it look not pretty, make it look regal, make it look nice. Sorry. And I've been working at school all day, guys. And so 100%. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else?
Robert Moody. So I go walking every morning. The Veterans Park down there. Are the sprinklers not working all over, or is somebody gonna fix them, or are they gonna throw some grass seed on it?
Do you have answer for that?
I know we have a lot of landscaping to do down there, and so I'd have to go with Mr. Wise of the Rotary Club. That's kind of his baby, but I know we're waiting until kind of all the infrastructure was in before they start putting new grass in, kind of keeping it up and the flowers and stuff. I don't have a timeline for you though. I apologize.
Second one, the light works down there. Nobody knows what it means.
The light
Almost got
works,
hit twice,
the light work
the crosswalk.
on the highway?
Yep, I talked to Caltrans yesterday. There's no signs, and they don't plan on putting any signs saying prepare to stop if lights are flashing or anything. They're done pretty much as far as the lights. But I had to yank her back out because she was watching the oncoming traffic from coming into town. And a lady comes through and we're like this, and she don't even know what it means. She's going like this. So, a little dangerous.
All
Is it
right,
a-
well, go ahead.
Is it a yellow flashing light? I've been out of town for about 4 days.
Yeah,
I haven't even been
they're
out there at
on
night.
both sides of the highway. They're two strobe flashing yellow lights.
Cameron,
So
oh,
we're asking if there can be some added signage added to the traffic, the car traffic, correct, on 49?
They're kind of new. I mean, I never
Yeah.
seen them until I went down to Escalon
Mhm.
last weekend.
Yeah.
There's no, it's like a crosswalk.
I know, I've seen it.
They illuminate the crosswalk, but there's no signage saying.
Yeah, there should be something
prepare to
I thought they
stop
were
beforehand.
or anything like
given a
that.
heads up.
Yeah, I thought they weren't finished with it yet because I didn't see any sign.
He told us that he was done.
Okay, I have the contact for Caltrans that I can get to you to deal with that. Anyone else? Anything not on the agenda? Yeah. Yeah, if. Okay,
There was a couple things pulled off the agenda before you came in, just so you know.
yeah, 7.1, well, we can go over that. in a
7.1 and
minute.
7.4, if you came to talk about those, were pulled off the agenda.
Oh, no, no,
Oh, no,
no,
that-
that's on there.
No, that's not 7.4. That is, it's on here. It's not 7.4. Which one is it? Oh, that's 7.3. We'll be talking about that. That's
Okay.
7.3. Okay.
Yes, I got this. Yeah, go ahead. Hi.
Good evening, Rosemary Marino Moody, Plymouth. Just on the flashing light situation, there are two lines for where they're supposed to stop on either side. If the lights are flashing, there's just no signage there to show it. And before he pushed the sign both days, we waited till the immediate cars were gone. Then we pushed it. The first day it was 3 cars, 2 this way, 1 this way, that went in front of us after it was already flashing. And today there was 1. Didn't even hit the brakes and went like this to us, like we were walking in front of her. So definitely a problem, especially with a kid who relies on a crosswalk, pushes it, goes across, because they came on us really quick because they're going so fast. And the other thing is when you get between the PG&E substation and El Dorado Savings there, it gets very narrow. And I do not believe they're going to put any guardrail or anything there, that you might want to consider seeing if they can reduce the speed limit down a little more, because they're right next to you as you're walking. So.
Okay, we'll definitely
Okay.
make contact with Caltrans.
So the other thing is, I know the city is in a financial crisis and they're looking at ways to cut some costs. And I have one suggestion. Like I said, we walk a lot. We're around town a lot. So I've noticed that there are public work vehicles, city vehicles that are going home with people at night. And that increases gas wear and tear on those vehicles. It also opens up the city to liability if they get hit going to or from work, or if they get damaged or hit in front of their house. So it's a high risk to the city and a possible liability to the city for someone suing them if an accident happens. And I don't understand for the life of me, why that many people are taking their vehicles home, because there's room at the city maintenance yard for them to be parked. They would be safe over there overnight. And I mean, you got a 24-hour fire department and an ambulance crew right next to them. So I don't understand why that's being allowed to do, because it exposes a lot of potential risk to the city of Plymouth. And honestly, we've had enough litigation lately. You guys need to figure out a way to reduce our risk all the way around. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Steve Pinotti, Plymouth. A little background on the Caltrans situation out here. 3 years ago, the 40-mile-an-hour sign either blew down or somebody took it, that is in front of the Native American Plaza. I don't know what they call it now. Ione Band of Miwok Indians Plaza. There was a 40-mile-an-hour sign there. So I know most of the crew on the Caltrans, the guys that work, said something to him. He said, I talked to his supervisor, and supervisor said they were out, I think he said a year, getting a new sign that said 40 miles an hour. So I called Highway Patrol and they said, well, it's in the city of Plymouth. It's not our jurisdiction. Okay. So I called the sheriff's department. They said, well, we don't do traffic control. So I work on a house that's opposite the highway over there, and I see cars, and I'm a pretty good judge of speed, 60, 70 miles an hour going through there. And now that you have a crosswalk with issues, I think the 40-mile-an-hour sign needs to be reinstated. It says 40 zone ahead, and the next 40 zone is up by Poplar, where Poplar comes out to Pacific Street. So they're going, if it's 55, they're going 55, 60. So I think Caltrans with these other signs, I think you need to address the 40-mile-an-hour sign that's missing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? No? Okay, quickly before we close public comment, I'll just state that I do want to make sure, first, there's clarification purposes. It was the previous council that chose not to instate the Antonio Marino sign. I am highly in favor of that. My family and myself have experienced being part of tragedy where Antonio showed up. And so It's very important to me personally that that happens. And I was told the same thing that was brought up, is that because he's still alive, it would be some bad omen. And so I know for myself, I just want to go on record saying I'm in favor of that happening. And I'm not sure why we haven't made it happen, but we can certainly look into it.
That's what I'd like to say on that. I also feel the same way, and I actually several months ago brought this up when we had to close out the CBDG grant. It was why that wasn't done with it. It's something that's kind of bothered me for a while that we never did this, and I was given the runaround of all these excuses and reasons why, which I knew were untrue. And I feel, I don't know, Andreas, this was already voted on and approved by a previous city council. I don't know, do I need to ask later tonight, or one of us ask later tonight, to agendize this, or do we just give direction to our city manager, just go and do it?
So
Because
we heard the comment. I've already emailed Vicky to pull whatever meeting that happened at so we could look at exactly what was approved, and we'll act accordingly or bring something back if we need to bring something back.
Perfect.
Okay. That'll be done at some point here.
And thank you, Antonio, for your service.
Thank you very much.
And with that, we'll close public comment for open public comment. Oh, this needs to be read. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I forgot about that. Sorry. Okay, so Bev Felina wrote in and said that, do I just read that she wrote in the comment, or I need to read it because she specified that? Okay, I didn't think so, but okay. Sorry, little confusion because she specifically said, read this. So Bev Felina sent in a comment regarding some traffic issues as well. So that's read in. Okay, we'll close public comment, open public comment for that, and we'll move to 4.1. Discussion and possible action to appoint council members to serve on various committees and regional boards. Staff report.
Yes, so the city council last discussed its various appointments to regional boards a few months ago. Since then, we've had some people leave our city council. We've got new council members. In reviewing the list, we discovered that council members who've not been on the council for quite some time were still assigned to some of the assignments. So we felt it was a good time, now that we've got a new council, to bring this item back to go through the entire list of regional boards that the city of Plymouth has a representative on, to figure out who wants to be assigned to which, who's got availability, interest to join which of these regional assignments. It's a huge time commitment, so it also seems like a fairness issue for our longer serving council members to maybe get to share in the wealth of these responsibilities with our new council members. So with that, the list was attached to the packet, and I would recommend the council just sort of discuss it either down top to bottom or however you feel appropriate.
Okay. Do we have anyone that wants to do public comment on 4.1? Go ahead, Stephanie.
Stephanie Moreno, Plymouth resident, small business owner. I'm sorry, I didn't put this on my list. I skipped it.
That's okay.
So I just want to say that, I saw in here you put on just one committee member, it's important to attend meetings. It's important to attend all of these meetings because things get discussed that impact Plymouth, whether or not we have a seat at the table or not. For example, LAFCO, they make decisions on projects that occur next to the city. We've seen that happen before. If we're not there to know what's happening, we can't weigh in on it. So that's one thing I wanted to say, that I think it's important that you go to all the meetings. And if you don't have a seat at the table, designate someone to at least go and listen. Sometimes you can go by Zoom, because some of the jurisdictions do that. The second thing is that I think you need to adopt a policy, and maybe you have one because I didn't check before this. as to whether the city council members represent their own personal opinions or whether the city council members represent the opinion of the council. This has been an issue in the past where we've had former council members that represent their personal opinion at meetings. It's in conflict with what the council has decided. And so that could be what you want it to do, but I think there should be a policy so it's consistent that the representation when you're sitting at and it might be different for different committees, but that you have a policy indicating which ones are which. And then the other thing is, it's just, it's really important for us as members of the public to hear reports on the committees that you're attending. So if you have that, I know you have it on the agenda, but we rarely hear anything. If you could start providing us some comments on what you're hearing from those committees, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for item 4.1? Mike?
I'm Mike Spinetta, Hawksview. I've been busy doing school stuff all week. Wendy, we just want to make sure you're sworn in already. Okay, yeah, it's done. So, yeah, perfect. That's it.
Yep.
All's good.
Okay, anyone else for 4.1? Yes,
I'll take
Andreas?
another turn. Late breaking news. The listing for when ACTC meets on this sheet is incorrect.
Imagine that.
It is actually the first Thursday in the morning.
First Thursday at what time? 9 a.m. Okay. Anyone else for public comment on 4.1 before we close it and have council discussion? Nope. Okay. Public comment is closed on 4.1 and we'll move to council discussion. I'll start with Wendy. Do you have anything on this one? You know what? Maybe on this one, we can just go down the list and see if there's anything you guys want and just say, yes, I'll do this, this, and this. And then I think what we did before is if we have more than one council member that wants to do it, they can battle it out and figure out who wants to do it. And yeah. So which ones would you be interested in, Wendy?
I would be interested in the ACTC. I have availability to go to that.
Okay.
And the Amador Council of Tourism. I would like that one. I couldn't find much about it,
Okay.
but I can find out.
Okay. Holger? Is that it, Wendy?
Yes.
Thank you. Holger?
My work still prevents me from being able to attend as much as I would love to.
Okay. Miss Debbie?
I was looking at the Sierra Public Agency Risk Sharing Authority of California.
Okay.
And then I'm pretty sure I could make the Solid Waste Management Regional Agency work with my work schedule.
Okay. Yeah.
The AB 939.
So on that one, it looks like also the meetings coincide or they're immediately after when the solid waste task force meets. I don't know if you want to do both of those since they're related.
Yeah, I think I can make that work with my work schedule.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Andreas. Dawn?
Wendy?
Oh,
I was gonna tell you, real quick, I could probably also do the ACTC Regional Transportation since
since it ties in.
they go hand in hand.
Awesome. Do you want to back off of any of the other ones? Are you okay with or with the tourism one, or are you
Yeah,
okay?
I'm okay with the tourism
Okay,
one too.
okay. Okay, Dawn, anything else? You're already on here a couple times.
Yeah, the sheriff's contract one is finished now for the next 5 years. I don't know if we need to remove that or just leave it as is.
Yeah.
And I'm still on for AFPA and LAFCO, which it says we're not in rotation. I'm kind of in the same situation as Holger is. These morning ones, very difficult to do. So I would just stay with what I listed on here.
Okay. Do we have any idea when the Amador Air Quality Control Board meets. There's no, it just says important to attend meetings, but there's no,
I don't, and I couldn't find any reliable information online when I checked.
Hmm.
It seems to meet very infrequently.
okay. I'll go ahead and put my, which one do we need a representation on that was still an old representation? Cause we can just, I can put my name on there and do my very best and maybe someone can go in my stead if I can't make it.
I don't remember which one was the old one. I don't have that version in front of me. Let me see if I can find it.
Well, the whole list has been cleaned up, correct?
We,
Except for the Regional Transportation Mitigation Fee Committee. I don't even, just
Yeah,
put
but-
my name on there.
If you want to do air quality, I'll be your backup on it, your second.
Okay.
The air quality, the last meeting they had was January 16th of 2024.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one.
So
Yeah.
you might,
I knew there was one, but I couldn't remember which one you said, Wendy.
yeah, that was it.
Okay, so it looks like council is figuring something out. I'll give him a minute.
I'm not sure that's the same one.
As far as the ad hoc committees go, that's in a complete list then, is it?
Yeah, that's it. The sheriff's contract is done though. So, I mean, like Dawn said, we won't have to revisit that for 5 more years.
So is it my understanding that the Zinfandel Ridge ad hoc committee is still active?
Oh, that's right. I guess that should be on there.
We'll
Well,
add that to the list.
Thank you.
we actually, I don't know if we need to do a committee for that, because we actually put on the,
We already
yeah.
have one.
yeah, but we had put on the agenda the plan to
Yep.
set up their board meetings and start doing it like that.
Right, but the ad hoc committee still exists. It
Yeah,
only
until
needs
that time, until it is,
Right.
yeah.
We'll have that item that you just referred to back in September.
And that was Holger and Rusty that were on that. And so we probably need to replace Rusty with somebody else. Do we want to do that now?
Sure.
I do it if nobody else needs, you guys are pretty much doing that in the evenings and weekends. Yeah, I'll do it if you want me to, yeah. Everyone else.
Perfect. Maybe you'll get to go to a flamingo party. Okay. I think that's it. Did we do it? Good job, team. Awesome. Okay, so with that, we'll get that all updated and move forward. Let's move to number 5, consent calendar items. Can I get a motion to approve the consent oh wait, sorry. My bad. First, staff report, and then we'll do public comment.
No staff report.
No
just
staff report.
Public comment.
Okay, can we take public comment on that? And actually, if Stephanie has that on here, 5.4. So we'll have her first and then anybody else who wants to go.
Stephanie Moreno, Plymouth resident, small business owner. I wasn't able to be here last week when you talked about this ordinance. But I thought I heard the city attorney say that there was no process to correct errors. That isn't entirely correct. There isn't now because the city missed the deadline to do that. But it seems to me that there should be some kind of note put on the maps that they're not accurate if you're going to put them in your ordinance. For example, it shows a large water body south of the city of Plymouth. There's no large water body there. I think it's a color coding error. It's probably federally managed lands. But nevertheless, it's confusing that it's wrong. It also shows that the center of town is unzoned as to fire hazard level, which seems surprising to me since the rest of the town is zoned. It seems maybe not so coincidental that that's where the fire station is located. So I just think that it may be too late to convince CAL FIRE to change the maps, but I think you should go onto record that they're incorrect because you're putting them in the ordinance. The second thing is that there seems to be a trend over the last few years of not attaching your documents that are referenced in your ordinances and resolutions to the documents or in the packet. For example, the map's not in the packet tonight. You know, it's referenced is part of the ordinance, but it's not showing in there. That's not being very transparent to the public. And it also tells me that you're maybe not putting those documents into the official records as well, and they need to be attached to the official records. Thank you.
Thank you. Andreas, it was in the previous packet, so is that why it's not in this one? Is there a reason?
It should have been in the packet.
It should have been in the packet.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
If you're more comfortable continuing this item to the adjourned regular meeting, we can do that as well.
Yeah,
Were you here at Tuesday or whenever?
yeah,
Yes.
okay,
That way we can have a published packet with the
with
item,
it,
with the map
I would prefer it as well.
and the ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
let's do that. Okay, anyone else for public comment on any of the consent calendar items? Okay, we'll close public comment. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar items as amended? Is that right?
Consent calendar items 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
You have to actually read it out
That's what one.
to,
Motion to approve
There you
items
go.
5.1, 5.2, and 5.3, I think is what you're looking for.
Sorry. I make a motion to approve items on the consent calendar 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Bottomley,
Aye.
Councilmember Dill,
Aye.
Councilmember Hornish,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nunn,
Aye.
Mayor Cranford.
aye,
Thank you. Motion passes.
thank you. I just realized that we didn't welcome our new council members. Well, it's a little nerve wracking sometimes being up here on the dais, so you forget to do things occasionally that are probably proper to do. So welcome to our new council members, and I'd ask that everybody has a little bit of grace with them, because it's rough being up here. All right, we have no public hearings, so we'll go ahead and skip that one. Number 7. 7.1 was pulled, and Stephanie, you already made your comment on 7.1, right? Did Stephanie already do that? I know, but I thought you asked if you could still make a comment on it. You did, okay, sorry. And then we'll move to 7.2, discussion and possible action to bring back Zoom participation during meetings. First person up here on the paperwork is Stephanie for public comment. Oh, do we want to do a staff report first? Sorry.
Sure. So we previously discussed it when there was just 3 of you. At that point, I had suggested that the city consider a policy on public comment due to the risks associated with Zoom participation. And for fairness and equal treatment of everybody, I had prepared a draft policy for you all to consider that covers all public comments, not just Zoom public comment, but we want to treat everybody equally. So there's just kind of a starting point for how such a policy could be crafted for you all to discuss tonight. And that's about it. The general direction last time had been that you do want to bring Zoom participation back, but to do that in a safe and sane way, again, our recommendation is to have a policy in place on how that's going to be conducted.
Thank you. And I apologize for not going to staff report first. I'm so scared I'm going to forget to do public comment that I just skip right to it. All right, so now we'll do public comment, and Stephanie, we have you up first.
Stephanie Moreno, city resident, small business owner. I haven't had a chance to review the actual policy. But I do have some general comments. And I may bring back policy comments later on public matters on the agenda. I have a full-time job, so sometimes I don't get to all the stuff that needs to be done, so I apologize for that. I wondered if the city council members would be willing to share with me how many of them were on the Zoom bombing call or at the meeting that night. Are you willing to share or you don't want to share?
I was not.
Yeah, you were not.
I was not.
I was not.
Okay. I was too. How many of you have seen the actual picture that caused the issue? You've seen it? Holger, anybody else? Okay. So it was a pretty intense time. And I sent an email immediately afterwards to the city because I do Zoom meetings every month for our board. And I immediately recognized that they hadn't set the safeguards in place to prevent someone from sharing their screen. That's what happened, is they had it set so anybody could share the screen. Those of you that participate in Zoom know that that's really something that you don't do when you have the public attending a meeting. And the city didn't know what to do, and it was very emotional. It was unfortunate that certain members of the public decided to call me anti-Semitic because I was advocating that we continue with Zoom. And I'm hoping that level of discourse doesn't come back because nothing is farther from the truth. And it bordered on slander and libel. But Zoom is important to a lot of people. I can't always be here in person. There's people in town that don't want to go out at night or when it's really rainy or they have kids. And I know that Vicki set a table up in the back of the room, but that doesn't always work for everybody to bring their kids to a meeting. So I'm grateful that you're going to allow Zoom, but I was really concerned about the emotion that was displayed at the last meeting about how one Zoom bombing incident and you're done. I think that we need to figure out a way to make this work. I will send my email again if you'd like to talk about all the safeguards that were in place at the time. I think there's more now. But I think this is something that is a benefit that you, the city council, could provide to the people that live here that would restore trust and transparency. And I encourage you to go look at the online videos that are showing. There's usually up to 20 to 25 people watching live. But afterwards, there are hundreds of views. So people that can't be here at night or watch online are watching the meetings later. That tells you that it's important for people to see what the city's doing. Thank you.
Any other public comment on this?
Like Spinetta Hawksview. So as you know, there were 2 Zoom bombings. One we caught in time because we recognized the name. Previous attorney caught it and we helped him. And then the next one got through. And that was in a time where I can't remember if 2 of the other cities had it happen at the time, and then one more was after us, maybe Amador City. I can't recall the events because it was all really close to each other, but there were 2 at least in front of us. And I ended up working with the Department for Civil Rights down in San Francisco. I worked with California versus Hate and an anti-hate group and League of California Cities. And we worked together enough to have a meeting on December 8th, 2023. And to establish ideas of policies that the different cities could follow in California. There was still a huge risk because what was happening at the time, people were having whatever safeguards were in place were failing. They were working, they were failing. There were different ways around them. And it was one heck of a thing to deal with. And information was out there that we were the only city that it happened to in the county. That wasn't true. And, you know, you got to have everything straight when you put it forth. And working with the state and other entities and what ended up being investigated and what ended up working. it was out there. And there was a great meeting for city managers that happened. And so things were addressed in many, many different ways. And other things happened to this building that necessitated video cameras being put in and more security in the front office. And so we took care of a lot of things all at once as a city and as members of the public, which I was at the time. And so it's just, be mindful of what you're doing here and just go slow. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment on this matter? Okay, at this time, we'll close public comment and go to council discussion. Wendy, do you have anything?
The one thing I could think of, I think the Zoom is helpful to people
Try to talk.
that can't make it to the meetings. If we could somehow do a test run, like a mock meeting, and just have a bunch of people come in and into the Zoom meeting and see what we can do to block them and safeguard it that way, might be a good idea.
Andreas?
So the idea of blocking somebody once they're in the meeting doesn't really work. So the safeguards we can implement are not allowing people to turn their cameras on, not allow screen sharing, but once we've acknowledged somebody to make a public comment, we really can't cut them off.
Right. Oh,
So that there's not much wiggle room there.
okay. Well,
That's a great idea, though. Holger?
Thank you. First off, Stephanie, if you can share even with just me your best practices, I think that might be very helpful since you're in the know, right? And I'll take any little bit of help we can get. Couple of things when I read through this. Are we allowed or can we request that participants retrieve a code in order to enter the meeting? Prior to the meeting?
You could do that. We had discussed that a little bit the last time this was on the agenda, and that
Just to weed out people who are just stumble across our meeting and say, I'm gonna go into this one.
I don't know that that would do much. And last time we discussed this, there was concern about the added administrative burden of having to deal with those requests. And what happens if you miss somebody, then you've unfairly disadvantaged somebody who tried.
Okay. Secondly, in your policy draft, line item number 2, comments shall not be directed at other members of the public or city staff. Can we even limit as to like whom people are talking about or to?
Yes, the idea of public comment in the Brown Act is for members of the public to make comments to the legislative body, the city council.
Okay.
So as a rule of decorum, you're allowed to regulate crosstalk, people interrupting each other. The orderly conduct of public comment really is one person speaks at a time and addresses comments to the council.
Perfect. Thank you for the clarification. Is there any way to make, probably not, but is there any way to make people identify themselves online?
You can make them identify themselves. You can't really compel them to be truthful in identifying themselves, though.
There is that. And then public comment on non-agenda items. You threw the number 10 out there. I think I'd be a little bit more comfortable with the number 5 or 6, somewhere around there, because once we get to 10, I think we're gonna spend a whole lot of time on.
But that really comes down to a policy call of how long you
Yeah.
want to spend on that before
Well,
you cut the amount of comment time down.
Then I will just put in my opinion here. Thank you.
What is your opinion? 6 or 7 people?
I was at 5.
Oh, you were at 5.
Yeah,
Sorry.
5 or 6.
Squirrel. Okay. And that's it for you?
Yep.
Debbie?
I like the idea of when you have a lot of people of dropping it down to a lower time. I think that it can be beneficial to do the Zoom. I understand that there's risks, but I think if we can limit them by not sharing screen and taking away the video and just doing audio, that will help.
Don?
Yeah, and I believe in our last meeting when we talked about this, we pretty much decided that the only way we would do it would be to not allow video sharing, because I think that makes us a lot less desirable to somebody that wants to do Zoom bombing. I think they're going to stop and look for somewhere else where they could share their offensive material if we're not an option for that. And I just feel it's an important thing for the public to be able to use this tool. And I look at other entities, the Board of Supervisors, to my knowledge, is still using it, and I haven't heard of them having issues. So if there's safeguards out there and not allowing the video portion, I think we should move forward with it.
I think the one qualifier to not allowing video and screen sharing would be if you've got like an appellant or a project applicant trying to present something on a particular item. I would deviate or recommend a deviation from the policy on that, where they're allowed to share materials in that case, in that very limited circumstance.
And
As in a person here in attendance presenting, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then we can put a clause in there, an amendment, if you will, that specifies just that, correct?
Yeah, or another example would be if, for instance, Erica, where instead of having to come out here to present an item, she's a consultant for the city, so we'd want to have the ability for her to be able to share materials with the
Makes sense, thank you.
one clause I would like to see us put in there is, as most people realize the situation we've been in the last couple months here, is that we would have a clause under certain circumstances for council member to be able to share video and attend remotely in an extreme circumstance. Person can't be here, or, to get a quorum.
Yes, so the Brown Act provides for remote participation in a number of different ways, but we can specifically call out that council members might even be required to share their video.
To show that it's them.
Correct.
Okay, so do we want to move forward with this policy with the amendments we've suggested? Instruct staff to change it to 5 speakers. Do you guys like that idea? Do you want to leave it at the 10 as originally written? For the reducing the amount of minutes to speak is what what I'm getting at. Holger's suggestion essentially. Do we want to do that or no? Can we just do a head nod on that before?
So we don't have the policy on for action tonight, really just feedback to staff. So we're gonna have to bring back another version anyway.
Right, so just you
Yeah,
want just
so
a head nod on each
just on what the
decision?
direction should be.
Okay.
Would be great.
I have one thing to say on that. I understand wanting to cut it down because sometimes the meetings get going too long. But if you look at the number of times we got 10 speakers, there's only been a couple times a year where we have a situation where 10 different people are showing up, and you're looking at 30 minutes.
I think the point Holger is making is that when you open it to Zoom, you're gonna have way more people that are gonna do public comment.
Yeah, it's not just that. I mean, we're talking about just and only the non-agenda items. So when it comes to agenda items,
We still have to.
we open it up again. So in order to, move everything forward, I mean, listen, I'm all for free speech and have your turn and everything, but I mean, I also am trying to keep everything moving along, if you will. I'm not trying to, impede anybody, but.
What if we met in the middle and said 7?
I do 7.5. No. Yeah, let's try 7 and see if that, and because we could always revisit this if it becomes too much of an issue.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm just trying to put in some sort of safeguards that way.
Yeah.
For the time.
Does that seem reasonable to you, Wendy and Debbie?
It does. I just have a question.
Okay.
So on the non-agenda items, if 10 or fewer speakers identified, they get 3 minutes, 3 minutes.
Mhm.
And if there are more than 10, they get 2. What are we agreeing on?
So we're just
7
changing
that-
it to 7 people instead of 10?
It'd be 7 people.
For the 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we have more than 10,
If you have more than seven, it drops
More
down
than
to
seven,
2 minutes.
got it.
So if 8 or more people say they want to speak on non-agenda items,
Okay.
we drop the time down to 2 minutes. And that number is for both Zoom and in-person combined. We're not going to give different time limits based on how somebody's participating. That was my point earlier. Everybody's going to get treated equally, no matter if they're here in person or remote.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, I think you have your direction then. And then adding the clause about, someone help me out, my brain just,
Video sharing for
Yeah.
council members and applicants, appellants, and consultants.
got it.
And then if I may, once I get correspondence from Stephanie, I'll share it with you as well.
Sure, and so some of those safeguards and how we actually implement Zoom, that won't necessarily be in the policy. That'll be more what type of Zoom subscription we get and what features we enable for the meetings.
Got it.
We currently have a Zoom subscription. Isn't that how we go over YouTube? Yeah, we have one.
Okay.
Okay, I think that takes care of that. All right, we'll move to 7.3 and take public comment. And Stephanie, I have your paper up here for 7.3. Oh, staff. I'm supposed to go to staff. Sorry, Stephanie. I apologize. I told you.
So this is the same TOT request we had a few meetings back. The council had some questions about what the state of the fund was for the TOT revenue, as well as asking the applicant go and get some insurance. I believe we've got somebody here who could speak to whether or not the applicant has done that. So maybe start public comment there, just so we have that information to work with, whether or not they've procured insurance for the event.
Okay. Thank you. And Andreas, please feel free to interrupt me, and Cameron too, for staff reports. I don't know why my brain is wired to do the public comment first.
Public comment's important. I'm glad you're remembering.
Would Stephanie, since I already called you up, would you be okay with Todd going first since he has some information about this item? Okay, Todd?
Todd Ramos, Plymouth. Yeah, we got the insurance for the horse and buggy ride, so they're gonna provide their own. They're gonna provide their own insurance, so that's covered in the price.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But
Do they
yeah,
provide you, sorry, do they provide you a copy of that?
I can get a copy and then name the city additional insured,
Perfect.
okay?
No,
I think we need to do public, well,
well, I
sorry.
just want to clarify one thing. You only got the insurance for the horse and buggy, not for the whole event?
Well, they've got that covered, so if we need to get the other, we can add that on, which we should, correct?
Yeah.
So I thought it was targeted towards that, but if.
Well,
whatever we
it's
need
the
to
whole event, including that. To cover anything that comes out of the event, basically.
We would have to get that.
Okay.
Andreas, do you have any comments?
The main
on it?
concern had been the coverage for the horse and buggy rides, but
Yeah,
I agree. Insurance for the whole event is a good idea.
okay.
Okay, so for that Christmas market grant, has a dollar amount been decided?
No, that's what we're gonna discuss next, and we have to take public comment first. We were just having you come up to do public comment first because
Okay,
you have information that is pertinent to our discussion.
okay, so I'll just let you know. I think it was accidentally put in 4,000. It's really 3,400
Okay,
that we're looking for. That's the budget.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Stephanie, thank you for obliging that request.
Thank you, Stephanie Moreno, Plymouth resident, small business. I'm not opposed to the event. I want to make that clear. I think it's a great event. I'm concerned about the process. Again, this is in my area of where I work. Typically, you don't give grants to private individuals. Government doesn't. And if they do, there's more requirements on them than you're putting on these. For example, if you're giving money to a private individual, there should be a 1099. There's tax liability, and I don't think that's the intent. And the way to avoid that is for the city to host the event and then allow certain people to turn in reimbursements instead of making it a grant. But I think that it's a little bit loose on how you're managing this that could create some liability for the city. Secondly, I several years ago, probably more than several years ago, Mike's familiar with it because I talked to him about it. I went through all the TOT grants that have been happening for years. It was a big, thick packet. And there was a lot of reimbursements to private individuals. And so it seems what happens is the city council approves a dollar amount and then everybody just turns in their invoices and gets reimbursed. That's really not how a grant is supposed to work. And so again, it seems to me that the policy needs to be tightened up so that you have good internal controls and good tracking on what's happening. And that when you're paying vendors, that you've gone through the required procurement process for that. If the city's paying the bill, there's a certain procurement process. If an individual is doing it, that may not be the same. So I just wanted to say that. I think that the process needs to be tightened up. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Stephanie, I hear you. So if you want, we don't mind just, having the city cut the checks. We just bring the vendors straight to you and, if there's any money left over, if we were going to get it, we were just going to give it back anyway. So however you want to do it, doesn't matter. It's just a promotion for the city.
Yeah,
So-
you just want to do the event.
Yeah.
We appreciate you volunteering and taking on doing it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment?
Rosemary Marino, Moody, Plymouth. Okay, my question is, looking at the packet online, so I see a budget from last year and I see a budget for this year, which have different totals, but I don't see a revenue and expense report from last year, what they actually used. So I kind of want to be walked through the process of how this worked last year. Did the money go to them? And then there was no actual accountability afterwards? Or was the city involved in paying those expenses? I mean, either way, if the city was cutting the checks for it, I don't know how that worked. There should have still been a revenue and expense report after the fact on it. Because according to this, they're asking for money, but it's not showing what was actually spent last year. All it's showing is the budget that they requested last year. So I want to be walked through the process. Is this a city event or is this a private one? Because if the city was cutting the checks last year, that becomes a city event. Because they're cutting all the checks, people are submitting for a reimbursement. So then you got the problem with the liability. So if that's what the city was doing, then wouldn't that fall under the city liability versus them getting their own liability? And then asking them to get their own liability to cover the city is going to change their budget of what they need for this process. So I am a little cloudy on how this was handled in previous years. And I think that it needs to be very specific of how it was handled, whether it was right or wrong, and how it should be handled this year, just to protect everyone, including them. Because if it is an individual putting it on, ultimately they're going to be responsible in the, deep pockets.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment at this time and open this up for council discussion. Let's go ahead. We'll start with you, Wendy. Do you have anything on this or no? Okay. Go ahead, Holger.
Witchin. Thank you, Todd, for coming forth and for putting this on. And for clarification on the monies for the total budget. My question goes to city staff because I'm slightly confused on this report. So it said that in the TOT, Streets and Promotions Fund, Fund Two, is expected to have approximately $228,000 available as of June 30th, 2025. This balance includes the transfer of approximately $241,000 in expenses, yada, yada, yada. So how much money is actually in there? And or are we in the hole? I mean,
So Andy Heath prepared that. I don't have any more details beyond what
It's
is there.
very
because to me, it
confusing.
reads, we had 228, just kidding.
My understanding is that's what's left after that transfer.
Because with the transfer, it made everything up and up, correct? Even Steven and all the funds? Not even Steven, that was a bad analogy.
It's because then later you're seeing where it says it's gonna put the general fund in a deficit in this report.
Correct. So I'm looking at
Yes,
this and I'm
I was
thinking,
confused
and
by
I'm
the same
reading it and I'm
thing.
like, we're gonna be 13 grand in the hole.
Andy's going to be here on September 11th. I think this would be a great question for him then.
Sweet.
Todd, I'm gonna jump in really quick. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that okay, guys?
You are the mayor.
So- I just want to be respectful. Todd, if we push this to September 11th, are we pushing it? Is it getting too late for you guys to pull this together? Horse and buggy. Yeah, that's 2 weeks from now. So I want to,
I think we're all.
okay. Cameron, my question for you and staff would be, is this something we feel like the city could take on with their help as the volunteers? As instead of doing exactly what we're talking about here, does that make more sense? What, Andreas? I see your finger on the trigger.
Is the question, should this become a city event?
Yes, that's the question. Oh, that was a face.
I don't know if that's how we've done it in the past. That I know that was a question that came up in a comment. I don't know how the city's traditionally handled this. And
No, so traditionally, it's been some wonderful volunteers willing to put this together. And this is why people don't volunteer, because things get complicated and irritating, and then they
Yeah.
just give up. So
So I would
so
actually,
the city could be a co-sponsor up to this dollar amount to put it towards the expenses of the event. That would be one way of doing it.
okay. That's what I'm essentially asking for, is can we have some creative ways that we can make this happen? That maybe using a grant process isn't the correct way to do it. So that whatever we do is on the up and up, everybody's covered, and there's no issues.
We can look for a creative solution to try and get $3,400 put towards this event in a legally defensible way, if that's the wishes of the council.
yeah, because I would hate to stall this out any.
No,
further.
I just, and forgive me for feeling a little frustrated about this. It's not that I want everything to be done correctly, but this is why small town America slowly doesn't exist, because we just beat everything to death over these types of details. So to me, it's like, how do we figure out to make this happen without it being a legal issue for anybody? Debbie, do you have comments on this?
I was confused looking, reading through.
Can you get a
the
little
ag-
closer to your mic? I'm sorry, I know it's really hard to.
I was kind of confused reading through the agenda item. I had the same question as Holger because I was thinking that the account was in the negative. I would really like to talk to somebody about the financial piece of it and get an accounting of what's in there. I'm also concerned about the fact that it says that we haven't received any TOT for years. Was the Shenandoah Inn our only source of TOT? And
No.
what's the delay in getting that money?
So that's why we both have concerns over this report, because we have those same, we're confused by what he said. I wish you could provide us some clarification, which is why we kind of wanted to push this to the 11th, is because the way it's written is very confusing to me too. So I'm glad somebody who's in finance is also saying it's confusing. It's not just me. on. Yeah.
So what he's saying, if you're reading it, he's saying here that the expected to have approximately 228,000 in available fund balance at the end of fiscal year June 30th. So we have 228,000 in there is what he's saying.
Right.
Okay. And he's just talking about some money that got transferred from another fund. And I think that was money partially used for the park, and we'll find that out on September 11th. But to me, what he's saying, there's 228,000 there. And then he goes on to talk about the fact that we haven't been transferring other top funds into the account.
Yeah, but then he says down here, these sponsorships are budgeted around 60 grand. The proposed budget for 25-26 includes the 60,000 in sponsorships from TOT S&P Fund, Streets and Promotions Fund. The loss of this and due to the loss of TOT from Shenandoah, it has placed stress on the general fund revenue. 70,000 annually was collected from that hotel. If the city were to continue funding TOT Street and Promotion Fund, this would require a transfer out of the general fund of approximately 100,000.
Yeah, so what he's saying is that if you continue to put about $60,000 a year towards these TOT grants, the 40% slice of the TOT no longer equals that amount. So to maintain the $60,000 annual budget of TOT grants, you're going to have to start giving the TOT fund or this TOT S&P fund a bigger percentage of the TOT revenue the city does collect.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So,
Not a math person, people.
no, we had talked about the fact that those were going down. Or I talked with him about the fact that those are going down. And that's going to be a whole nother thing we're going to have to bring up is how much we're going to in the future be able to put into this.
So what?
Yeah, and just the whole handling of that fund and the general fund is really outside of the scope of this agenda item.
Yes, that's
This
what it's
is,
about.
this is really background information to help you decide on this one
The amount.
request for $3,400.
Okay.
Don, am I hearing correct that you're saying there is money in there? Let's just get on with it, or?
Well, what it's saying is, I believe that we have, I can't remember what the exact numbers were the last time we talked about it, but we have, and without Andy being here, or having the budget in front of me, it's hard to say. Yes, we have some money in that, positive of that. We can wait until after the 11th and go over it well after, if you talk to him, and that'll work.
So to me, there's two separate issues. One, to your point, Andreas, is talking about the TOT fund and the way it operates and all of that. That's not what we're dealing with tonight. The question we're dealing with tonight is, do we want to give this grant? And the issues called to question with that, is that the appropriate way to handle this event? So
Can we grant this $3,400 to them and then have council and staff make changes to the process going forward? But at least we get this sorted tonight.
that's a question for Andreas. I mean, I
Yes,
guess
you can authorize an expenditure of $3,400 towards this event.
for the grant. Or for, you're saying for the city, an expenditure from the city, not as a grant,
No,
but
from this fund.
for a grant. Okay.
Yes.
I guess my question that I'm a little hung up on is, to public comments point, people have made public comment, if we're doing this to an individual, does this call into question legal issues?
It may, and we can look into those. Again, I'd have to look at how we've handled these in the past and how we've kept
Yeah.
records of these expenditures in the past. I just don't have that information sitting here.
Right, so for those who may not know, we were sworn, the three of us were sworn in December 18th of last year. This event had already happened. So I have no way of knowing how this was handled last year or details of that. And it never really frankly occurred to me to go look because I didn't think it was an issue. So, I'm gonna defer to my council members on this one on what they want to do first.
I have a question. I
Okay.
have a question. So is allocating the tot money, you can only do it with a grant? You can't just do an allocation? It has to be a grant.
I don't know where the grant terminology originated. It seems very formal for what we're doing
Yes.
here.
Exactly. Like can we just allocate the $3,400 from this fund to this festival?
It seems to me that's the purpose of the fund, and that's what these applications are for.
Right.
yes.
So
So the
essentially-
grant is what is kind of spinning everybody, right?
The word grant seems to be what we're bogging down
Yes,
on, and I don't know
exactly.
why we're referring to these as grants.
If we take it out of the equation, we could allot the money. As the city could allot that and we could provide that. And I also think, I'm gonna digress just a moment. I think this paragraph could have been a cut and paste from a different item, because the first sentence says the TOT Streets and Promotion Fund, Fund 202 is expected to have approximately 228,000 in available fund balance at the end of fiscal year 24-25, June 30th. Well, it's now August 28th.
Yeah, I think he's telling us what it was at the end of that fiscal year.
Okay, I guess the word expected is throwing me off. I'm
It's
like,
throwing out, it might have been a cut and
expected, and I'm
paste.
like, wait a minute.
It
That's-
was, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it probably was.
Okay.
So Andreas, can we change this to a TOT allocation instead of a grant? And then that clears up, or is that a policy thing we need to take forward, or what?
I honestly don't know why the word grant is involved here and whether or not we can remove it right now on this one.
Okay.
I
Okay, can we, Todd, can we move this to the 11th? Speak up, Andreas. Do you have something? Go ahead. Go ahead. What were you gonna say, Wendy?
See, I feel like we're making it a little complicated.
Yeah, I
It
do
should-
too.
I mean, if we don't have any legal verbiage stating what we can and can't do with this fund, I don't see why we
I think you can
can't.
provide the direction to us, or you can authorize an expenditure from this fund in the amount of $3,400, and then we can work out the nomenclature that goes with it after. the
Okay.
fact.
Great.
And going forward.
And going forward on, Holger says.
And on the going forward, we'll have that discussion when it's properly agendized. As
Great,
far as how we treat TOT fund and what we call the application.
great. Okay, anyone else have any other comments before we call for a vote?
I was just gonna say, I think what we had talked about last time, can we make it in amount not to exceed, because we had that issue of they were asking, now he's saying they're asking for the 34, just 34, but we are also asking them to look at additional insurance, since they only looked at getting insurance for the horse and buggy, and we want the whole event covered. I think it should be stated as amount not to exceed what the city will reimburse, instead of just saying, 4,000 or 34 or whatever. It should just be a cap, and then anything that, if it comes in under, has to be either returned to the city, or if we end up issuing the checks, which way we go there, it's a not to exceed amount.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, our original conversation about this was around the fact that we have such a reduction in TOT that maybe we need to reduce how much we're going to give in these allocations.
And I think that's gonna come before us again in item 7.4.
No, we pulled that,
Policies, right,
but yeah,
it will,
yes.
yeah, and then I think we can talk about that.
So, no, well, I know, but I meant, we were talking about reducing the amount of giving them less than 3,400 because we're getting so much less TOT. Example, due to the Shenandoah, we no longer get that TOT. So, I'm comfortable with at this point, I agree with Wendy. Let's not make it more complicated than it needs to be at this point. I'll look for a motion for whatever amount people feel comfortable with.
Andres, how would we phrase it?
What's the dollar amount in question?
3,400.
3,400. Nobody's strongly in favor of more. Okay. So then it would be motion to approve expenditures up to $3,400 for the Christmas market event from the TOT Streets and Promotions Fund.
I'll try it. I'll make a motion to approve the grant
Let's call it expenditures.
expenditure in the amount of not to exceed $3,400 for the Christmas market. I'm missing something.
Event
From the
from the
Streets and Promotions Fund.
I'll second.
Councilmember Bottomley,
Aye.
Councilmember Dill,
Aye.
Councilmember Hornish,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nunn,
Aye.
Mayor Cranford.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, with the removal of 7.4, we're gonna move to number 8, which is council and staff communications. Staff, anyone have any staff communications? Andreas or Cameron? No?
Nope.
Okay. And council, city, this always confuses me. Why do we do this and then we go down and do council member reports?
It's that way in your policies, and when we do revisit the policies, I
Oh,
would
for-
recommend reorganizing that.
Good Lord sakes, yes. It is the most obnoxious thing. Sorry to whoever came up with it. I don't mean disrespect, but it's very confusing. Okay, so let's take city manager's report and then we'll just do mayor and council member reports and agenda items. Does that sound good? Okay.
Oh, so haven't been here long to get a official report together, but it's been one heck of a week working here in City Hall. We have a lot of challenges facing this city. But we have a lot of positive things going on in the city. And after speaking with almost all the staff individually and as a whole, I can tell you we have the team to do it and to steer the city the direction it needs to go. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's do council member reports. Wendy, do you have anything?
I don't.
Holger,
Nothing to report.
do you have any agenda items? Do you just want to do it at the same time? Can we do that?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have any agenda items you want to add?
I just want to make sure that we absolutely talk about the TOT funds or grants or verbiage going forward. That's going to clear a lot of things up, I believe.
I'll have Andy add it to the budget discussion on September 11th.
Thank you. And if we can, if there's a readout on revenue expenditure, I think that'd be very good to have as well.
Okay.
Thank
We'll
you.
ask him to provide that.
Debbie?
Nothing to report.
John?
Good.
No agenda items either?
I think we already have quite a bit on the list that we need to get knocked out before we add more.
Okay. Mike. Just kidding. For mayor report, only thing I have is I was supposed to have an ACRA meeting this past Tuesday and it was canceled due to a lack of quorum. That tends to happen a lot with a lot of these committees and stuff. I think with ACRA, it is a board of directors meeting, so it's not just a committee. So you can't have anybody go in your stead. It's just how it is. And I think that's it. Farmers market seems to be going great and everyone seems to be happy there. We did have a citizen bring up some issues with the walking trail separate from this. And, again, that's something we'll add to staff or Caltrans for discussion with people from the 49er riding their golf carts on the trail. So that's new and fun. Yeah, other than that, I don't think I have anything and no agenda items at this time. Good, okay. We are gonna go into closed session. Before we do that, if we wanna, anyone wants to make public comment, Stephanie, come on up.
Stephanie Moreno, Plymouth resident, small business owner. I just want to say really quickly, before I say about closed session, if you can indulge me, if you want a small town feel, maybe you should like acknowledge when someone's waving their hand in the audience, even though you don't have to ask them, but maybe when you're all sitting there trying to figure out what to do, they might have a solution for you. So involving the public, because you go through all this stuff and we're listening and we might have additional information that might help you out of whatever you're in. I know the attorney will say, if you do that for one person, you have to do it for all, but what's the harm in doing it for all?
First of all, I didn't see anybody waving their hand.
All right, it's just a comment.
Can we keep
so
it to the closed session item?
Yes, closed session. I have experience with that as well, and you're traditionally reporting out no reportable action on every item. And that is correct, that sometimes you can take action, you don't have to report it at that time. But it's also true that some action has to be reported later on when it becomes finalized. For example, you vote to do a settlement agreement and it needs to be negotiated. And so the vote isn't reported, but at some point it has to be reported. That's the law. And the same goes, you have not reported out on any of the potential claims and lawsuits that you're dealing with. And I can't imagine you're letting them all just sit there. So are you denying claims? Are you approving claims? I know you don't have to report it at the minute you're doing it because you may have to contact the parties that filed, but at some point the public needs to be aware of what's happening. And we're not being advised of that and haven't been for probably the last 5-6 months. So thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll go into closed session. Sorry. Yes, one more public comment. Sorry about that.
I just wanted to formally thank you for the allocations of the Christmas market.
Thank you. Okay, well, and no one else? Okay, we'll close public comment on this item and we'll go into closed session. Thank you all for being here tonight. We appreciate you attending. It's nice to look out at faces.
I don't think there's anyone who wants that word.
So reporting out from closed session, there's no reportable action. And we will be adjourning the meeting until September 2nd at 6:30 PM. And right now it is what time, guys? 8:51 PM. Thank you.